Okay, in this video we're going to tackle the next section of our homepage, which is going to be the news panel. So without any further ado, Robert, do your thing.
Okay, here we have our news block that we've blocked out earlier. So as before, I'm going to create a new folder, call it news, but without the caps. Not that it matters. It doesn't.
Not that you're, really tight about that.
Yeah. So we have our section blocked out. And basically what I have for an idea, let's go back to our sketch for a second. You see our news area. I was thinking about having a headline here, basically just saying news.
Oh, wow, that's original.
Yeah, well, it's easy to pick out from a crowd. And then have a kind of a list of news items, maybe 5 or 6 items from the news section. Just headlines where you could click on whichever one suits your fancy.
All right.
Okay, so let's go back to our...
Sounds good.
And so let's start out. This color is not what I had in mind.
No, it kind of clashes with our site just a little.
Let's go back to our color palette for a second.
Okay.
Now, I know we chose all these colors separately. Like this was a color palette and this was a color palette. But I'm going to mix and match because they actually look pretty good together.
Sure.
All in one spot. To start out with, I'm going to use... I think I'm going to use a blue.
All right.
And I'm going to just use the eyedropper here, and I want one that's a darker blue. Well, no, I'm going to choose a...
Here he is going back and forth.
So many choices.
The artist at work.
I'm going to use this one here.
All right.
It's a nice corporate, a little more subtle.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want something that's screaming out. And I'm going to use my selection, since we have it already selected out.
So you just control-clicked on that layer.
Control-clicked on the news layer. Send this guy to flip him around so he's the last color.
Mm-hmm.
And hit Control-Delete. Voila.
Nice.
Okay, so there we have it. And I'm going to add we're going to need a headline. So I'm going to put a headline in here. It's going to say news.
Okay. And are you still using Rockwell for that?
I think so. I think we're having a theme here going on, and for consistency's sake, you don't want to throw out a new font just because it's a different section.
Sure.
Really, for a website, you should probably have no more than 4 fonts.
Okay.
Really, when you're thinking about it, you want to choose a family. You don't want to choose different fonts on every page.
Right.
You want to have something...
You want continuity.
Yeah, you want continuity. Make it look like these things actually belong together.
I gotcha.
And you can do that by using the same font.
That's a good guideline. Yeah.
Without being boring. Kind of like the number of colors you're using. You want to have the same number of fonts.
Right.
Just a handful. So that's not exactly what I had in mind. I'm going to use the extra bold version so it really grabs your attention.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want it to be italic. It's just your standard news.
Okay.
And I'm going to... I think this letter spacing is too far apart from where we left it before. I'm going to make it just a little closer together.
Now, what are you doing right there?
All right. Oh, right. Here's another cool trick.
Another cool trick.
If you hold down the left mouse button over any of these guys in the palettes, or I think any of the palettes really, you can slide it. It becomes a slider.
Oh, look at that.
So you can see the numbers go up and down. Sometimes it updates in live time. So I can just click and drag. I'm just doing this over and over again.
Right.
Until you're happy. I'm actually going to key in a number here.
Okay.
A little easier. So I'm pretty happy with this.
Mm-hmm.
This is still a little too big, a little more too important. I'm just make it a little bit smaller. I'm going to nudge it up a little bit here.
Okay. Cool.
So I'm liking this pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think this is okay. I'm starting to think that too much of our text is white. I'm going to make this a different color.
Okay.
I'm going to go back to our little color palette. Let's choose something dark. Let's choose
So
this.
one of the darker blues.
Right, one of the darker blues. And this one's a little too grayed. I'm going to give it a little more intensity. And so I'm going to select that guy. And I'm going to make him that color. Oops. And I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to copy the color value out of here, and I'm going to click here and paste it in here.
Ah, gotcha.
I'm
Nice.
sure in Photoshop there's a million ways to do anything.
There's like 150 ways to change
Right.
color or something.
So if you don't know one way, try the other. Okay, so we need something to, let's drop our headlines in real quickly. We're not going to use this. Well, let's keep that for now. So let's find our news.
Mm-hmm.
Where is our news? Here's our news.
Lots of news.
We've got lots of news. Okay, products news. And I'm just going to grab some headlines here. I'm going to have to do them one at a time. That's fine. Copy. Paste. And I don't want it to be extra bold here. I'm going to use a standard web font. Now, we talked earlier about the number of fonts that come standard on every computer. Verdana is one of the ones that come that way.
You'll see Verdana a lot on the internet.
Right. It's a very popular font. It's very good for text. Small text, lots of text. That's a nice sans serif font. So I don't want them to be all caps. So I'm going to my character palette and turn that off.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to keep it just like this for now. And let me try it again. I don't want that one. I'm going to put in a line break here.
All right.
Okay, well, we're going to do this again. Actually, I'm just going to continue this.
Oh, I see. Just gonna.
Now I'm just going to put in one text block.
Sure.
If we need to change it later, we'll change it later. Wow, multi-lines. Okay. All right. We're getting there. We're filling up the space. It's taking a while, but we're getting there.
Yeah, it's coming in nicely.
I don't want to make this font too big, although I guess I could. Let me take a look at what size it is now. Right now it's at 8.93, which doesn't really roll off the tongue, does it? Let's make that 9.
Okay.
Maybe even 10. No, I'm going to leave it at 9.
Okay.
You know what? I'm going to center this text using this button here. I'll just move it back.
Ah, gotcha. Yeah, it's looking a lot better.
Yeah. So we're getting somewhere. We're going to a few more headlines here. Actually, I'm going to stop right there because I'm going to add an extra line space because we're going to be making our own line breaks. Let me undo that very shortly.
Okay.
Whoops. And that may be too much. But sometimes you don't know until you look at it.
You can nudge all the text up just a little bit. Might help.
That's true. We do have space. Okay. Let's start with this.
Okay.
All right. Next, I want to have something that's going to separate the articles from each other. I think I'm going to put a line in here. but I don't think I want it to be a solid line. Although that's kind of cool, isn't it? No, I don't like that. What I'm going to do is try a... Oops, undo that. I'm going to try making a dotted line.
Okay.
Okay, so let's zoom in here a little closer. Let's separate this, the articles out from the headline. I'm going to put a box around it.
Mm-hmm.
So let's make a box first.
So just create a new layer?
I made a new layer.
Okay.
And I'm going to just try to visually find a nice border size.
Okay.
Something that surrounds the text. Mm-hmm. I'm not too worried about this right here. We'll fix that.
Sure. Change all the spacing later.
Right. I just wanted something that was fairly consistent. And I'm going to fill this layer with a color. In fact, I'm going to fill it with the color that we have, this blue.
Okay.
But to keep it from being the same color, I'm going to make just a little lighter version of that blue. And I'm going to hit Control-Delete. Oops, not here. Here.
Mm-hmm. Ah, nice.
Okay, that helps it stand out a little better. Helps you read the text a little better. That's looking pretty good. And we're going to go back here to our copy and nudge it up a little bit more. Okay. Let's see how it looks once we put the line in there.
Okay. We might need to back off on some of that spacing just a little bit.
Right. If we do, it's fine. So I'm going to be placing what I really like to have is a dotted line. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to go zoom in real tight here. I'm going to select 1 pixel. As impossible as that sounds, I'm going to select 1 pixel. You may have to zoom in way, way close. Right now we're at 1600.
Wow.
And I'm going to use that darker color that we used in the headline here. Hit Control-Delete. And nothing happened because I don't have a layer selected.
There you
I have to make a new layer. We'll call this dotted line.
Dotted line.
And we'll call the other one text box. Well, that's not very descriptive. How about headline, news
list. There you go.
Excellent. Okay.
So the big long stack of news stories. That's a great name for the layer.
Yeah. So okay, what I've done here is I filled that 1 pixel.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to use the nudge key, the right arrow key, and I moved my selection 1 pixel over,
mm-hmm.
and I'm going to now fill it with the light blue, and I'm going to do that. It's going to look like nothing's happened, but something is happening. Okay, and now I want to select both of these guys. What we're going to do, rather than doing this over and over and over and over and over all the way across the page, we're going to define a pattern.
Ooh, I hear a trick.
Yeah, here's another Photoshop trick. So it's really simple, actually. You go to, is it Image?
I think it's under Edit.
Edit, okay.
Yeah.
So many options.
Yeah.
Define pattern.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, first you have to make sure you have it selected. Only the thing that you want to have a pattern is selected.
Right now he's only selected these 2 pixels on this 1 layer.
2 tiny pixels.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say define pattern. And this, you can call it dotted line if you want.
All right.
It doesn't really matter in this case. And now that did it. Even though it looked like nothing happened, that did it. And I'll show you why. I'm going to come back here. Choose a good area. I'm trying to choose 1 pixel again here.
So 1 pixel in height, but
in height, right?
Staying pretty flexible in length,
right? And so I'm going to try to center that, so just visually, and then I'm going to choose the fill bucket. Mm-hmm. The fill bucket, if you still have the gradient tool selected, it's underneath the gradient tool. It's the paint bucket tool. We had a pattern that we were playing with earlier. here's the pattern we just made.
Oh, nice.
All right, so we'll select that, and I'm going to zoom in. So we're inside the selection, and I click inside, and voila.
Ooh, look at that. Perfect dotted line.
Instant dotted line. Cool.
Nice.
That is nice. But you know what? I don't like the spacing. So let's go ahead.
There's always something.
There's always something.
You just can't please some people, especially designers who are all anal retentive about their work.
So I'm just going to do this. I'm going to make these 2 carriage returns, which were 9 points, and we're going to make it 6 points instead.
Okay.
So I'm just going to copy, paste, paste.
Oh, so you're copying that 6-point carriage return
Exactly.
and then just pasting it back in.
Right.
That's clever.
That's clever-ish.
Clever-ish. Okay, fine. We'll use your terminology. It's clever-ish. The dotted line trick was clever. This is clever-ish.
Yeah. Oh, I really like the dotted line trick. So I'm going to push this down a little bit since we have space.
Mm-hmm.
Push my dotted line down a little bit. And I'm going to duplicate this dotted line using our marquee tool and a trick we used earlier, which involved holding down the Alt key and Control key, and then clicking and dragging and holding the Shift key. So
yes, you are holding down Control, Alt, and Shift.
Right, and I'm just going to start moving on down.
So yeah, each time you let off the mouse button, you're making a new copy of that dotted line.
Right. So all the way down to the bottom.
Nice.
So there we have it. It's looking pretty much like what I had in mind. In fact, I don't know of anything more. I think I am going to center this just a little bit more.
Okay.
Just for my own fun. Okay. And I think that's about it.
Yeah, it's looking really good.
Okay, so let's step back here.
Yeah, let's take a look at the whole site.
Okay.
Looking nice. The white space that we have left for our last 2 sections are really starting to stand out now. The rest of the page is starting to look so developed.
They are big holes at this point. So we're going to fill those up next.
All right. Well, very good work. Thank you, Rob. And let's move on to the next lesson.
Okay.